In a space full of whales, I'm the crypto trend shark. When you close your eyes to pray, I'll be waiting in the dark. You were wishing on a star, I was building us an ark, and I saved you a seat with the crypto patriarch. You were loading up your bags, I was dumping on your face. Keep talking about the moon, Critty put you in your place. Now the blood is in the water and your brain's in outer space. You were all in on a 2 and I'm a motherfucking ace.
Actual Bitcoin chart. This one is Bitstamp. Obviously at resistance, trying to flip this back over as support. Did exactly what we said. Came back up here at 52,000 now. Am I still expecting a top between 52 and 54,000? I am. We have ignoring this first top right here and going to this middle top right here. We have a high on our histogram. We have a high on our stochastics on the Jewel Thief. We have another high on the histogram here. We have another high, lower high on our Jewel Thief stochastics. And then now what do we have? Another high on price action. So 1, 2, 3 highs on price action. And we're paying attention to, are we going to get bearish divergence from this high now and get rejected in the bullish control zone here? We'll have to wait and see, but it looks like there is a high likelihood that we will have one. Actually, this one does not count on this indicator. 1, 2, 3 potential drives of bearish divergence. And then same here. 1, 2, 3 potential drives of bearish divergence. Oh, no, it does. I'm sorry. On the stochastics, it is technically 4 on this. But I'm not trying to just rule out information, but we have to be careful when we see like one thing telling us something and another telling us something else. We are now above the 200 simple. It has flipped the slope back to the upside. We are above the 200 exponential. It has flipped the slope back to the upside. We obviously have been inside of our Bitcoin trade from like 30,600 or whatever, taking some profits along the way. We are at, in my opinion, at the danger zone right now, and very high likelihood of topping out. If we go to the weekly, we did flip the 821 back to the upside. We did get the hard buy signal, but again, we need to be careful of this coming up here to the 3,531 level and getting rejected. Very high likelihood of that happening at what amounts to resistance, which would be our support at like 56,000. So maybe we get up a little higher than I'm expecting, but very, very cautious at this level. And then monthly still looks good, obviously. Let's look at a couple of our other indicator oscillators. So here we have again the Bitstamp chart. We have our Fibonacci's in place from the peak high at 64,000 to our peak low back here at 28.5 roughly, 28.6. We came up to the 618, found some serious resistance, came back down, broke above it, support, and now it looks like we're coming up to 786, which is roughly 54,000. Again, a lot of confluence at that being our potential high. And then if we look at some of our indicator oscillators, we have the Stoch slope with a high, same or slightly lower high, and then another lower high. And now we need to see what happens right here. Do we get another lower high and rejection at the bullish control zone for a potential 1, 2, 3, 4 drives of bearish divergence as we're putting in higher highs on price action, lower highs on our Stochs. And then finally we have the TJD Fisher. We have a high, we have a lower high, and then potentially taking out our third drive lower high, or even coming up here to test our second drive lower highs. So maybe going to invalidate that, as this would be a breakout and continuation and invalidate our bearish divergence. That would obviously be a good thing. And then if we look at the waddah attar explosion, we have a single high here, second high here, a third high here, and then a fourth high here in green. And it looks like each of these, we were building strength. We have the blue slope line as we get to our high. We have a blue slope line again as we get to our high. We have a blue slope line again as we get to our high. We have a blue slope line again as we get to our high. And now here it has flipped over yellow. Obviously, it could flip over blue and we could see continuation if a bunch of volume comes in. But again, one drive, two drives, two drives, three drives, three drives. So is this going to be our fourth drive of daily bearish divergence on multiple indicator oscillators, leading into a rejection and the end of the bull market? Tune in next time to find out. But it looks like it's definitely still a possibility. And then finally, once again, looking at, this is the Coinbase chart, doesn't matter. The MACD, the stochastic, and the RSI with your traditional settings. We obviously had 3 drives of bearish divergence, followed by a massive sell-off, 3 drives of bullish divergence, followed by a massive rally. And now here we're looking at potentially 3 or 4 drives of bearish divergence. Now we have 1 initial, 2, and then we had a potential 3rd one, but I was talking about how I expected this to get up higher, and then also, you know, it kind of rolled over and consolidated. Now we're at the level I'm potentially expecting, but we need to pay attention to, does this invalidate? So what we have here is our initial drive, a lower high, a third lower high, and then now we have a single slightly green bullish drive right here crossing over the zero line. So if we take out this one, does it invalidate the bearish divergence completely? No, in my opinion, we need to take out this one because this potentially is just like that consolidation. It's not like a strong peak that we're looking for. But again, I'm not trying to just rule out information because I don't like it. I'm just looking for like strong, indicators that line up with what I expect to happen. And typically when I expect to happen is something closer to this. And this is a perfect example. We have a high here, then we have a lower high here, then we have this little high right here. Do we rule that out? Well, you don't know until afterwards. But here we take out that little bitty high, but we can't take out this next high. And when we look at where that is on price action, that was our high right here. This was our high right here. This was our itty bitty high consolidation. Starts to sell off and then puts in a higher high. And then we get a lower third drive of bearish divergence. Well, does that look like exactly what is taking place right here? If we invalidate this, go slightly higher, but don't take out our previous high of bearish divergence? Well, it looks like it to me. And then if we look at our stochastics, we see here a high, slightly lower or same high, slightly lower or same high. And then here, looks like we're putting in a slightly lower or potentially same high once again, which again, just a form of bearish divergence once again on the stochastics. And then here we have our final RSI indicator with a high, a lower high, or a series of lower highs, a lower high or series of lower highs, and then potential for another lower high or series of lower highs. What's more powerful than triple bearish divergence? Well, quadruple bearish divergence. So what I'm paying attention to is we've already gotten clear bearish divergence printed. If we get continuation to the upside on our indicator oscillators, we can invalidate it. But we already have higher high on price. We need now higher high on these indicator oscillators to invalidate that bearish divergence, which then equates of a bullish reset and then continuation, new all-time highs. The crypto circle jerk is back in full effect, and hooray, we all go to the moon and we're millionaires. But right now, it looks like there's a high probability that this actually will get rejected, break down, and then if we leave this 48,151 zone, I expect the measure move down here to 37,000, which is just the measure move of the channel, at which point in time, I'm a buyer. I'm a buyer at those levels because we have a low and then a potential higher low. So do we just come back up though and get rejected at a lower high and then continue to the downside? We have to wait and see. But we're traders. We're not investors in cryptocurrency at what amounts to a couple percentage off of all-time highs. We're investors at Bitcoin at 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, arguably 10,000, but we are not investors at Bitcoin at $50,000 or even really 30,000. We are scalpers, we are swingers, we are traders, but we don't invest in things at these levels. No, thank you. So yeah, that's going to do it for our crypto